Yeah, okay. So my last video was on was networking? Yeah. It was on networking. I'm still borrowing my friend's camera for now. I'm just abusing the fact that I have it, so I'm gonna try to like shoot out a bunch of videos while I still can with this quality so you guys could see the difference, or maybe even my next video I'll shoot it with my old camera to see the difference. But this topic, I'm gonna use more of a touchy topic because like um the person that I was talking about last in my last video about how I met the was talking just about like, oh, you should talk about controversial stuff. And I'm like, okay, every once in a while I'll do something kind of controversial. So, I guess I'll use culture, right? Because on the internet, people are always rallying about random stuff or complaining about random stuff. And this hasn't, or I wouldn't say hasn't, this isn't new because even um, with this original video idea, when I talked to my friend about just interviewing random people, like I'm not at that stage yet. I'm just trying to get comfortable with certain topics and camera or whatever. Um, and like I don't like the style where you're looking directly into the camera because it's like it's weird. It's like me talking to you and then I'm like looking at your eyes, but I'm not really talking to you in real time, so it's kind of creepy, right? I don't know. That's me. But getting to the point, I'm gonna talk about culture, and the thing with culture is like uh, I live in Canada, so there's a lot of different cultures. And the problem with people pushing for culture or whatever, I'm not against people's cultures. I'm not against individuality, but um, because or if you have a stronger cultural background that's not necessarily Canadian, um, there could be problems, not in the sense of, oh, racism or whatever, but how your people, I don't like using that term, your people, but I've been watching the 100 and the 100. It's like, oh, my people, your people, this people, but like um just to get the point across, like how your people interact with each other can be a lot different than how another culture interacts with each other. And that's the biggest reason how or why people are against like race mixing and stuff like that because people just don't understand how, or sometimes people don't understand how a certain culture works. Because there's this comic, yeah, it's a comic, but you could say it's a picture, whatever, where it has like an Americanized woman, or I would say like a Westernized woman, and then a woman from like the Middle East, and they're both passing by each other. One's like fully clothed and has like the veil, and you could see her eyes, and then the American woman is completely in a bikini, whatever, and they're both thinking the same thought where it's like, oh wow, um, fuck, I forget what it said exactly, but it's just talking about how that society is so controlling and how I can't believe a woman could live in a society that's so like that. I feel so bad for that person, right? But they're thinking the exact same thing even though they think their culture is right or the way that they're doing things is right. So to understand or to even deal with some of these issues, you have to actually understand how that culture works, right? Just because your culture pushes a certain thing more, that doesn't mean how you guys do things is wrong, right? Um, I guess it's like it's a really big moral it's a big moral load of garbage. I wouldn't say load of garbage, but it's just like, oh, but this is not fair. This culture does this or this culture does that. But you have to understand how it works before you could kind of demonize it. Like I'll give a big example with like a lot of black cultures. A lot of black cultures are just like super straightforward, right? So you ever see those things where like, oh, black people are so they have so much attitude or like they're so scary and everything. But like me being like of African descent, and like growing up with an accent, even though, oh, look at me, I don't sound like I have an accent or whatever. Just growing up, you can see the differences because like in my culture, kind of, it's like people like to be straight up. People will address your issues kind of in an annoying way, right? Because I like using my boss as an example, so I'm gonna use my boss as an example. So my boss told me last month that he was trying to lose his belly because uh doesn't want a belly, right? He's a pretty big dude, not like fat, but no, he's trying to be jacked and everything, but his problem was belly. So like in my culture, you kind of tease people about things because like you want to address that issue, but you want to do it more in a friendly way. So, you know, every time he was talking about like pizza or eating a bunch of food, I'm like, yo, but you gotta watch that belly, right? Or be like, hey, you can't be roly poly oly. You gotta watch that belly because um it's kind of helping that person reminding that person that was their goal, right? You told me that was your goal. I'm not gonna be like, oh, yo, you're getting fat, or oh, like in my culture, we're not going to be like, you said that you were trying to lose weight, stop eating, go lose weight, right? It's being direct, but it's being direct in a more playful way, so the person doesn't really feel bad. But like yesterday, I was talking to my boss, and he's like, because he's leaving, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna miss you calling me fat. And then the thing is, like, I didn't call him fat. Like, you shouldn't have told me that you were trying to lose weight. If you didn't tell me at all that you're trying to lose weight, I wouldn't have bugged you about talking about pizza and everything. But how my culture is, like, if you bring up something, we kind of want to constantly remind you that that's your goal, so you could achieve that goal, right? So that's why understanding a culture can change things. Cause like I was talking about black people time because my workout partner or my ex workout partner, we're gonna go back to that routine. I need to just go by myself so I can actually focus on the goals. But with me, I have a lot of different ethnical friends because again, Canada, right? So because I don't deal with so many black people constantly, I always forget about black people time, right? Some black people are like, "Oh, you said black people time. That's racist." And I'm like, "Yo, I don't care because it's like it's a truth, right?" Especially being Ghanaian, like there'll be a party. It starts at 9 p.m. like a Ghanaian party. I don't really fuck with Ghanaian parties, but it's just the thing, right? But anyways, it'll start at 9. No one's gonna show up till like 12 a.m. So it's like 9 p.m. People start showing up at 12 a.m. That's just how the cultural practice is. Like, I don't want to go. Oh, that's a Skype call. I'll answer it later. But anyways, yeah, I don't want to go. Like, you don't understand why someone would come so late, right? In this day and age, or here in Canada, or this culture itself, you're not going to say, yo, hey, I'm coming at 9 o'clock, okay, or it starts at 9. You might be 10 minutes late, 30 minutes late to be like fashionably late. But if people were to come like a whole 3 hours later, a lot of people be like really bummed out and everything. But if you understand a culture or that culture or how those people are, you understand that that's like the etiquette for that culture. Because I was asking my mom about it a while ago, and she's just like, "Yo, well, you don't want to be too early, right? And you want to look your best and everything, so you're gonna take your time to come, and the people, you don't know if they're running late, setting everything up, so you want to give them the time to go." And I'm thinking in my head because I've grown up here for like most of my life, anyways, so I'm thinking that doesn't fucking make sense. Like if you're gonna have a party and you want people to show up at 12, be like, yo, I'm starting the stuff at 9 o'clock, but I'd rather you come a little bit later because things might not be ready. But because it's a cultural practice and everybody knows that's what it is or how it is, people accept that, right? So for you to go and say, oh, these people are always so late and everything, yeah, it's true, they're always late, but in that culture, that's fine because that's how things are done. So with the internet exploding about um stuff like gender roles and everything, some cultures, they I guess they push the gender roles, right? And over here, that's a problem, I guess, for some people. I don't know, right? But if you have that cultural background and they do those things and you get angry that it's like that, that's how they grew up, right? It's just like how I talk to people about sometimes I talk to people about like racism and stuff, right? If your grandma's constantly yelling the N word, right? You can't you can get mad at your grandma, right? But your grandma lived in a different time where that was acceptable, right? It's like someone telling you you can't say a word that you use all the time anymore because it's not fair, it's not right, or whatever. As much as they could try, it's kind of like ingrained in your brain. It's it's kind of like using the word like, I guess, in English because everybody has those pause words or whatever, and some people just say like a lot because they get the brain freeze or stop, not brain freeze, but they get stopped in their thoughts and they have to think, and it's science. Science tells you that these words like yeah, like, but right, but you know to start complaining about things like that, you have to be able to understand that or understand how the roles work because I was on Twitter and people are talking about misogyny or um rudeness or overmanliness or whatever, but in some cultures things are set up a certain way, and because you've grown up like that, people act that way. It's not because they're meant to act that way or whatever, but it's just the roles that are kind of instilled within the family, right? Um, so they're not Americanized, or when I say Americanized, I mean Westernized, as in like North America, whatever, first world country. So for you to be like, oh wow, that's so rude and everything, yeah, that's how you could feel because you've grown up here. But if you grew up over there, you'd understand that that's how their system is, even if you don't think it's the most optimal, right? How you feel about something, yeah, that's your feelings, but sometimes you have to understand how it was kind of like built up. It doesn't justify certain things, like in some countries, I'm not gonna mention whatever countries, but this is more of you kind of trying to think of or think why things are before you go in and like get an outrage or be outraged of how someone acts. You have to know what that background is, right? Especially if you're dating someone who's not from your culture. For like, I'll give you an example. Like, my number one biggest issue with African girls or West African girls, Ghanaian girls, they're fucking loud, okay? Like, I talk a lot, I can get loud and everything, but my mom and my sister, like my sister's starting to be almost as loud as my mom. She kind of understands or she notices or catches herself. But it's like on the phone, it's like they're literally yelling at the other person because they can't hear the other person. But that's their normal tone of voice on a phone, right? So you ever hear those stereotypes about super loud black girls or whatever? It's kind of in the culture where they just speak super loud on the phone. And you know what? I'm just as confused as all of you. I don't understand why you need to be that loud on the phone. But sometimes you don't catch yourself, or it's just how they are, right? So for you to be like, oh, this person's so loud and blah blah blah, no, they think that's normal, right? Because all the other women do it, or all the other women are like that. So you can't really get super angry about that. There's too many things that people get angry about on the internet that they don't fully understand. Even some things I don't fully understand. But sometimes you have to stop and kind of take in, okay, why is this like that? Or why is it like, you got to ask questions before, you know, you start yelling at people or having a really strong opinion about something you don't fucking know about, right? That's so annoying, right? Get your facts straight. Do a little bit of research. Don't be ignorant, right? We're in the West. There's so much potential on the internet where you could learn things or just talk to different people, right? How can you be super critical about a culture when you have zero friends of that culture, or you don't even mess with those people, right? Because they're like this, right? It's stupid. That's ignorant. You're just as bad as them. You're just as bad as the fucking things that they do that you don't like, right? You got to stop and think about that, right? If you don't understand something, oh, no, that's why I like kids. Kids when they don't know something, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? That's annoying eventually, right? But they want to understand. If you start to understand things, you'll be less angry about things because you actually get the knowledge and it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of like this. I hope that's different or I hope I could change that. But, knowledge is power. I love that phrase, right? But with that knowledge or with knowledge, it makes you understand things better and then it makes you less ignorant. So be less ignorant. I'll catch you guys later.